For those of you who are new to Refinable, it's an open NFT marketplace where anyone can discover, buy, sell, and create NFTs. It's a fantastic platform for content creators, artists, collectors, and even investors. So going through the homepage, you can see they have many different kinds of collections from different projects, individual content. They have tons and tons of different NFTs from images to videos. So let's look at an example. You look at DJs of DeFi. You click into them, you can see the different collections they have. You can see, for example, they have this very cool DJ Fox. You can click into it to view more information. And you'll see, for example, the NFT itself. This one is a video, so let's go ahead and play. Very cool. You can scroll down to see like the name of the NFT, who's the creator, what part of the collection it is. And you can see the different description about it. What's the story behind it? What are the different uses or utility, if any? In this case, right? It seems to be, AR filter, things like that. You can view the history of the NFT itself, all transparent on the blockchain, of course. And in this case, you can also place a bid or even buy it if it's directly sold. If you look at another example, Polychain Monsters, they have a bunch of cute NFTs for their ecosystem. You can see each one. So much to go through. Lastly, you can also create an NFT yourself easily by minting. So you can choose a file, upload, give it a name, give the description, and you can choose to sell it, either auction it or just keep it in your wallet. So very easy platform for NFTs. Now let's jump into the AMA questions with Nicholas.
Hi guys, welcome to the Human and the Machine Crypto channel. Today, we're doing a very special event, an AMA with the awesome guys of Refinable. I am Chloe, your co-host for the day, and with me,
Hikaru, also known as a machine, a crypto junkie glued to everything and anything blockchain, and NFTs too.
Yep. Even NFTs.
So who do we have today?
So this is the second time I've been on. It's an honor to be back. Thank you for the invites from our co-host. Yeah, so I'm one of the co-founders for Refinable. Refinable is really an NFT marketplace being built on Binance Smart Chain, and we're looking to go into multi-chain support very, very soon. So I think there's a lot of recent developments since our last conversation on this podcast, and it's super exciting to be back here to catch up with you guys and give you guys the general updates.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you very much. So yeah, today we're having this AMA with you, right? Like things are like happening in your front. They're happening fast, and community has questions, right? And this is the time that they have written to us and they have asked the questions. So now you're in charge of answering them. So shall we start?
Yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Right. Okay. So, Machine, do you want to start first?
Yeah, sure. So, of course, Refinable launched. I see hundreds of NFTs on your platform. Can you just kind of share, hey, what's the overall traction been like with your platform? Number of NFTs, users. Yeah.
Yeah, so since launch, we've actually been live for around 3 months, just under 3 months. Mm-hmm. So even though it's only been, 90 days, it feels like it's been years since we've been working on this. So we've actually been continuously moving out a lot of different types of features, a lot of stabilization stuff that happens on BSC since it's still a new network. There's a lot of work that we have to go on the back end, as well as just getting a lot of business development and partnerships to really push out different types of NFT concepts out there. So overall traction has been great. I think just this week, we passed over 200,000 verified NFTs on our platform. So that's super exciting for us. It includes everyone who wanted to go mint their own individual artworks, as well as projects that have been working with us. So there's actually 200,000 supported NFTs on our marketplace already. So that's super exciting. It's a huge milestone for us, and we're probably going to celebrate by keep working harder.
Love it. Yeah, that's awesome. 200,000 is quite a lot, right? And I was actually chatting with a human earlier. For new people who come to your platform, we see like the hot page, but it's like, where do you start, right? How do you choose out of the 200,000, like what to look out for?
So that's always been a big question. I mean, if you go into, say, Zalora or any of those e-commerce sites, discoverability and exploring has always been a big vertical of just shopping online, whether it's NFTs, whether it's clothing, whether it's, your next Steam game. So I think there's a lot of items that we do want to feature out, especially with NFTs, where every NFT is really unique in and of its own. Some are artwork, some are membership based, some are utility based. So figuring out how to really display a lot of these discoverability features is definitely quite a challenge for us. I mean, it's definitely a good thing to see a lot of the creativity that goes behind these works. But I think some of the cool NFTs that people are really talking about in the trends are twofold. One is really on the avatar NFTs that, there's a lot of young people going out there wanting to spend their money on getting a new profile identity, a new profile picture that they can show to all their friends, all the users that they talk with, as your Facebook profile picture, your Telegram profile picture. I mean, if people want to buy vanity license plates for their cars, why can't they buy vanity profile pictures for themselves? So I do think that's one of the cool trends that I think a lot of young people kind of like get that kind of that niche that they want to go for. I think secondly, behind that, you really have NFT games. I think NFT games are really taking off right now, especially with Axie Infinity. Kind of like, broke the mold or broke the glass ceiling about what you can actually do with games, and you can actually play and earn money. That's a wild conversation to have with people that aren't familiar with the space. So we do think these two are really cool tractions that people are tying onto in the NFT space, especially when it comes down to, I guess, the traction on Refinable itself.
How do you plan to attract mainstream NFT buyers, gamers, traders, all the content creators that are not familiar with the technicalities of of the space, like using MetaMask and crypto? Like how it's a big hurdle, right? Like you tell people MetaMask and you lost them. You lost 99% of people out there. So how are you going to bridge that? How are you going to resolve that problem?
Yeah, so I think when it comes down to the onboarding issues, I think we're very well aware of what actually needs to be done. I think as a whole, the NFT industry is still super early on, and I think when you come down to, I guess, marketing and e-commerce, people like to talk about funnels, right? How does one person get to buying and enjoying their NFT? And there's a huge step process that really defines this entire flow. So I think at the step one, you really have to make sure that all users have a wallet, right? Whether it's MetaMask or something else. I think there's a huge process of education for people to figure out what a wallet is, what is the best wallet for you, and how to use the wallet. So I think these are really things a little bit out of our control as a marketplace, but we definitely want to work with as many wallet providers as possible. I think right now we work with SafePal as one of our great partners, as well as Trust Wallet, which are two fantastic wallets, mobile wallets. And so once people are familiar with how wallets work, and then you really jump into the next big step, which is just learning about tokens and how to actually get these tokens. And then once you have these tokens, or maybe perhaps we have a fiat on-ramp so that you can buy items with just a credit card. So at least getting the tokens, or at least having the methods to allow you to work with NFTs, that is the big thing. So I think it's a huge effort from the entire community in terms of the wallet providers, the fiat on-ramps, or even just token trader providers at the exchange level, as well as the NFT marketplace. All three of these really have to come together, work together as a whole, as a community, to really make sure we can onboard the next billion users onto NFTs. So I think that's something really cool, and it's super exciting to be at the forefront of really defining what it means to onboard people to NFTs.
Okay. I like the idea of buying with credit card. I really like it because a lot of people is like, what's the quick way? What's the easiest way, right? What do I like? What's the simplest way? I like that one. I know a lot of people that would be hooked on that, and then they will have to find the rest later, right? Now, bro, as an investor, right? Everyone is saying, look, NFTs is what Bitcoin was 10 years ago. Yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. But Bitcoin was one thing to understand, or not even understand, just trust and say, okay, fuck it, I'll try, right? But NFT, it's not like I can say there's one NFT, right? And I can just invest in that. There's, like you said, like hundreds of thousands and perhaps millions of NFTs already out there. As an investor, how do I know where to put my money? Not necessarily to have a 10 years later the same gains of Bitcoin, right? But so it's an investment that returns something meaningful. How would you start?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people like to, compare NFTs to rise of Bitcoin, but I think like on a fundamental level, the way that I would like to see it is that even though NFTs and Bitcoin kind of use the same underlying technology, I think the emergence of NFT is more similar to the emergence of like the HTTP protocol, internet protocol, or something
Mm,
like SSL, where I think
mm,
it's a
mm,
new
mm,
way of sort of providing information or packaging information, a new tool, a new intermediary for people to do business or do to do business on top of. So I think there's a great quote that I heard from another NFT speaker where basically in 5 years people aren't really going to talk about NFTs as NFTs
mm,
are now. That it's really going to
mm,
fade
mm,
into the background as an NFT protocol, much like how you type in a web address, you don't have to type in HTTP, but it's definitely there. So I think a lot of the new digital transactions or online transactions that's going to happen is really going to be powered by this NFT protocol, and it's going to be the conversation is going to be less about oh NFT this, NFT that, but more just about hey, I'm just doing business, normally as usual, and an NFT is something that powers it behind because it's giving me a lot more benefits. So I do think there's a lot of technical pros and cons when it comes to NFTs. I don't think it's really gonna overrun everything in the world. I think there are a lot of cool assets that people are definitely speculating on using NFTs. So I think it's definitely gaining a lot of traction and a lot of attention on that side, particularly with people's $680 million painting. So I think there's definitely a lot of traction over there. It's great that a lot of people are reading about NFTs and trying to figure out what
mhm.
it actually is. So it's
Yeah,
super
yeah.
super exciting to get some of these questions from users trying to figure out what exactly NFTs are, what exactly blockchain is, and what exactly Bitcoin is, and then these topics kind of spiral in and out. So I think the more people look into it, the more people are going to understand blockchain is not like some crazy wizard magic stuff, but it's just some
Mm,
classic database system.
mm, mm. Okay. Yeah, nice, nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Machine.
No, absolutely agreed. I mean, I think one of the best examples that we can even relate to now is, NFT gaming, right? Because you can use like your character in the game. You can wear that special sunglass on your character. And I know recently you guys announced like a new gaming initiative for the NFT space. Can you explain more about this, what it is, what it means for individuals and even for like game developers?
Yeah, so I think going back to our initial question about how we've been doing, so we see a lot of traction just in the last 3 months that I think gaming NFTs, especially on our platform, have been the top couple of collections really performing for us and for the users. And so we see that as a huge trend. I think there's a huge community that really are making these NFT games, particularly with the success of Axie Infinity. And so us as Refinable, we really want to make it easier for a lot of these gaming projects to focus on the
Mhm,
stuff that they do well. So I think our benefit and I guess our strong suit really comes in the part of making sure that your assets are tradable and there is a place to really, for people to monetize their assets, right? And so for games, we want to provide easy SDK support, easy developer support to tap into our marketplace and our strengths, while game developers can focus more on the lines of figuring out what the token economics looks like for their game, doing the marketing, building the items, constantly updating, doing their community management. So I think there's a lot of areas that, it definitely takes a whole village to raise a kid, and it takes a whole community of NFT developers and projects to really raise, successful NFT games. So I think right now we really see Refinable as a marketplace partner that helps a lot of these projects to figure out, hey, what kind of fee structure makes sense for you guys, for us, and for the users. And I think these are the exciting conversations that we want to have because we know we're definitely building out the infrastructure to allow a lot of these foundational games to build upon.
Yeah, it almost sounds like NFT as a service. Not sure if that's going to be coined, but it really does sound like that.
mhm,
No, there's definitely a
Yeah.
lot of these services definitely coming out, and we are more about marketplace as a service. I think that is really the niche that
Oh,
we want to go into. More specifically, I think the NFT as a service. I mean, there's quite a lot of NFT space is moving so fast with all the different. I guess the standards are 721, 1155, and us on our team, we actually don't really think either of them are as powerful or as ubiquitous for us. And so we 100% know that every single game is going to have their own token standard and someone will have to standardize a lot of these. So the conversation is still super lively and super dynamic. So we're actually, we want to be part of that conversation to help these games figure out what they want to do and make sure that they're scaling for the long term.
nice,
excellent. Yeah.
nice.
It's good to know there's proper support out there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
the gaming platform, I mean, you guys are changing into that as well, morphing into that. When can people see something that they can play or they can invest in that regard?
Yeah, so we actually announced together with our press release, I think it announced around last week time that we're really doubling down on the NFT gaming efforts. So we're actually partnered with a couple of new gaming projects out there, including Modebox, Jito Pads, Mazurashi. I think there's a lot of cool games that are just starting out, especially in the development phase. And that's really where we want to come in to provide all of the support that we can. And so in support of that, we have actually also announced initially we had like $150,000 worth of development budget to really do grants and sponsors to really help these games develop their items. And I think now we've actually partnered with one of our partner VCs to really increase that number to over $500,000. And I think right now there's actually been even stronger interest from the entire community. So there might actually be a whole new aspect to this where we can actually leverage and help these games community to really develop themselves and their product and their services. So I think that's super exciting. And if users want to get involved, definitely shoot us a message over at partnerships@refinable.com. I think there's a lot of cool stuff that we can definitely work out on in terms of marketing and the sponsors and even investments. And I think that's something that we're super excited. And we're very open-minded about what can actually come out of this. So, we're very open to sort of new opportunities, especially in NFT, where it's what we say today might be irrelevant the next day or the week after. So just keeping that mindset open to really see how we can keep NFTs in the limelight, in the spotlight for retail users to learn about.
Nice. I like it.
Beautiful.
We will not hold you to anything we're talking today, but we will ask you why or why not. Okay. Machine.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, you were mentioning about partners, and this is great. We all love partnership announcements. Do you think, like in the future, let's say these partner projects, they have their own metaverse, their own in-game store, will Refinable's marketplace ever become like an embedded, like directly in that game, or is Refinable just gonna still be an external platform where people have to go in and out from like those games?
I think it's hard to say what happens in the future, but I think for now, I think Refinable exists as a standalone marketplace. But I think if people were to embed that in, we definitely have the services that allow that to be done. And so in terms of all the SDK support and the backend items that we offer to development teams, I think these are all items that we can support. And so it's just a matter of figuring out how we want to work together, how sort of the languages that they want to write in, the SDKs, the sort of how it actually fits into their current model as well. So I think all of these are questions that a lot of people have to work through, and it's just a matter of reaching out to the team to figure out how we can help or how they want us to come in as well.
Got it. I like this very let's be flexible approach, because you have to be in this industry.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I mean, we're nowhere close to being like an AWS where you can templatize your products and services. So I think on the more powerful level, I think writing stuff that developers can understand and appreciate and is off the shelf, I think that is really the key. Whether that exists in the form of just an external marketplace or embedded marketplace. Of course, I think a lot of projects would love to have embedded marketplaces, but it's just a matter of about prioritization. I think there's always going to be a lack of developers out there in the world. Like there's hundreds of features that we would like to prioritize, but simply time and effort does not work that way. And people just have to prioritize a little bit more. And we think a lot of the efforts that game developers and projects come in really should focus on the tokenomics, the marketing, and the user acquisition. So I think that is really the main thing. Whereas the marketplace, these are things that you could outsource it to a marketplace as a service. So I think these are things that are easily replicable for a lot of different projects, and that's why we see a lot of value benefit for projects to want to work with us in that area.
Yeah, so in a way, it's very good that you actually don't have so many developers and so many ways to finish one vision soon. Because as you said, like maybe in 6 months from now, you just know that, okay, what you finished developing doesn't match the market sentiment, what people want, the trends, and so on. So it plays to your benefit in a way, right?
I think that's one way to definitely look at it. I mean, we definitely want to put out something or find the product market fit. So a lot of startups people like to call it, right? It's finding your product market fit in your niche, in your vertical. And this is sort of something that we see is definitely working out relatively well. And we definitely have friends and partner projects that work in the space. And so we're very in tune with sort of what projects actually are looking for. We understand that not every project is the same. But we definitely know that there is definitely a gap over there, and there's not a lot of providers in that space yet.
Got it.
Okay.
Like I have one gaps, right? Oh. I mean, of course, there's a lot of challenges. My bad. Yeah, one more. There's a lot of challenges, of course, in the industry. We talked about this MetaMask hurdle. What else do you still think are like big challenges that we need to solve? And is it a community problem? Is it a project-based problem? What do you see?
That's a very good question. So I do think, just number one, the step in the funnel is getting the wallet. So the MetaMask hurdle is definitely a very big one. I think that signals more about an education and receptivity to blockchain in general. Very similar
Mm,
to driving your first car. So I do think that is something that the entire industry is constantly facing about how do you onboard retail users. But I think beyond that, just the whole aspect about getting tokens and perhaps even integrating with fiat. So fiat on ramps or credit cards, and these are some of the things that we are actively exploring just to figure out how that would actually work in a decentralized manner. So a lot of these questions, there's no real straightforward answer just because it's so new and that there hasn't been a lot of perfect solutions in a sense like there's no AWS or Azure cloud that offers these very very templatized hosting services, and so a lot of these things I think rest on startups such as Refinable itself to really figure out kind of bootstrap around to see what kind of works best. And I think we're very fortunate to have a highly adaptive team that can actually respond to some of these requests and figure out what works and what doesn't. And I think that's all about being part of on the front lines to really define what that onboarding strategy kind of looks like, even for those people that already want to take the first step in. How can I make it easier for you guys? I think in the NFT space, also, the standards in NFT that surrounds NFT, I think right now 721, 1155 are the most popular ones, but it's definitely not the ideal standard for some of the stuff that we want to do, because these standards really govern sort of the metadata and what data is collected on chain. And so if you do want to do some other stuff on chain, then technically these standards don't really fit that well. So what do you really do? And of course, people want to strip away as many metadata as possible to make the transaction cheaper. And so you kind of run into these very high level ideas back and forth about what you want to prioritize for the user. I guess that's a benefit and a bug of the decentralized manner, and that people can take things however they want. And so right now it's about seeing what the major use case is for NFTs for most people so
mm,
that we can
mm,
cater to that. I think right now that's why we
mm.
want to double down on a niche so that we can service one niche better. And then if we can serve one niche the best, and then we can probably move into other niches as well. So I do think these are some of the more obstacle looking challenges that we face. But we definitely try to get a lot more input from partner projects, developing communities, and even user bases to really see what kind of other solutions that we can come up with.
Okay.
Yeah.
And good. Nice. I have one more question, last question from our viewers. What have you learned, since the first time you were here personally? What have you learned? What was the one thing that you had to change or improve in your, within to match the challenges of Refinable?
Yeah, I mean that's a huge question. I think we can talk for days and days about the main takeaways since our last conversation here. I think
Mm,
it's probably been around 4 months since we were last back on
four
here,
or five
and
months,
so I
yeah.
think some of the major takeaways. Yeah, so some of the major takeaways in terms of the product itself is I think the crypto space and the traditional startup development phase, they work in counter opposites. I think in the traditional startup space, people like to push, not release a lot of information about next features, and then basically make
Mm,
sure everything is all sorted out and then release it. But in the crypto space, it kind of works the other way around. It's like, gather
yeah,
support
yeah.
and say, oh, we're going to release this thing. And it kind of like the two extremes of how product release actually goes.
Mm,
So it's quite interesting to see how that actually works out. I think some of the major takeaways also include sort of just understanding the network and how blockchain networks function. What I mean by that is really that Ethereum is so well established that there's a lot of development work and support that goes around supporting different projects. But with other networks,
mm,
since BSC is still a little bit new, or Polygon is still a little bit new,
yeah.
or even Solana is a little bit new, that these
Mm,
infrastructure and support services don't exist. And so there's a lot of responsibility that projects themselves have to take on to make sure there's stability, that transactions go through. And so there's a lot of stuff down the back end that running a normal startup and tech startup is hard enough, but we have to worry more about the infrastructure of the blockchain side. I think that does get a little bit technical at times. So there's a lot of main takeaways that I think a lot of people don't realize when it comes down to building blockchain applications. And so we're super fortunate to actually have our development team that works, round the clock to make sure some of these things get resolved. And there's always a constant learning for the team, for the marketing team, for the partnership team, for myself, for designers to really figure out, what actually works the best. I think even the next thing about going back to wallets, I think there's so many different types of wallets, and just figuring out how the wallet connects to your application with Wallet Connect or a Web3 connection. Some of these things they're actually quite new. I think a lot of people don't even realize some of the things that happens behind the scenes, but there's a lot of cool sort of quirks and sort of integrations and nuances that we have to figure out slowly that you don't actually realize until you're actually on the front line, sort of defining your product and your platform and making things work. So I think these are some of the things that we definitely are starting to pay more attention to, just to make sure that our platform is stable, that our users are heard, and our community feels engaged.
Nice. Good answer. Mr. Machine, you have any other question?
No, other than we'll have to definitely sit down for coffee and then go over more things because we're all young entrepreneurs and we just want to learn from each other. So please.
Very much. So that was the last question. When you are in Thailand, are we going to have coffee or what?
Yeah, let's get that Thai iced tea, guys.
Oh, yeah, even better. Yeah, it's a good one, huh? I like it. Okay, well, so Nick, it's the end of the conversation, but anything else you want to say? This is your time to shine. Any message for the community? Please just go ahead, man. Please, you have the floor.
Yeah, so massive thanks to Machine and Talawi for your amazing host and these amazing questions. It's always fun time coming on here. I think that some of the major items that I do want to just make sure that your viewers pay attention to is that, with the gaming initiative, we really want to talk to more gaming projects out there to see how we can help you guys and if there's any sort of partnerships that we can actually do. I think the gaming space is very small, and we realize that building the marketplace and NFT projects are not as straightforward as it seems sometimes. And so we want to provide as much support as we can for our friends and families and partners. And so this is all a very, very interesting space for us to do. And if for any latest updates about our initiatives and our development updates and even just like partnership projects that we have, I think pay attention to our socials. I think Twitter and Telegram are definitely the most exciting parts. I think we just announced our Discord, so that's going to be pretty fun for our users and also for our community as well. So definitely stay tuned for more exciting stuff. We have a big event lined up in Hong Kong in late September. So stay tuned for the information about that. And hopefully I'll see you guys around soon.
Hopefully.
Beautiful. Great.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much, Nick Chen from Refinable. Thanks a lot for your time and thanks for your really, really cool answers. And we better hear from you again because we have a lot of questions for you. Okay?
Definitely. Thank you, Machine. Thank you, Howie. See you guys around.
Take care, buddy.
Right, thank you, Nick.
All the best. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Machine, it was really good, right?
Yeah, really good. Again, solid answers, real traction, real product. Definitely a good project. And yeah, I go on Refinable a lot just to see all those crazy, fun, quirky NFTs, and it's cool.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. Cool, man. Cool. But I'll tell you something, man. You failed. At the beginning of the interview of the AMA, you failed to say, what? Click like, subscribe, share
our video.
Come on, man.
Share
Come on.
Content and subscribe. Yes.
I don't want to be the machine, man. I don't want to replace you. You're getting too human. No, careful.
Yeah, I'll have our editors to put in the like, share, subscribe.
Good, man. Good. I also had a good time, but I was trying to hide this spot that is so bright, right? So you see, magic. Anyway, thanks a lot, Machine. Thank you, everyone. And you know what? We also have a podcast. And we're going to have the details down below so you can download in time in case you don't have to watch the video and you just want to know what's happening in the crypto NFT world, the blockchain world, while you're on the go. So you can download as well our podcast. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Goodbye, guys. Thank you.
You're so machine. Goodbye, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you.